we're now moving on to the next stage. You'll notice that I've extended the baseboard as I said I would, and since the last video I've completed the roof on the station and I think it looks okay. So the station is ready for going in now, and as I explained previously, if that was going to sit on the platform there, then it's physically too high. So I decided I'm going to bring it down this little step here. You'll notice there used to be a little gap under here which my board has slid underneath, so it's going to protect it. So if I bring that down to there, I've got to take into consideration the little canopy that's going to go round, and this is it to scale. So if you look at that, it actually works out as it does on the drawing, on the pictures I've got as well, because this is the same height as this is here and the angle is the same going on the roof. So it's just going to work out perfect. That I just got to find the finalized position for it. So what I'm going to do is to take a pen and I'm going to mark down this side over here. I've got to make a mark, just put it in position, tie it up to there, and then I'm going to make a mark all the way down here, which will give me the amount that I'm going to have to cut out. So I'll do that little bit of work and then I'll come back and we'll carry on from there. That little recess has now been cut out, and if you observe, I can now put this into position and it will sit over that platform. That gives me adjustment at this end, so I can move this station building down as much as I need to do really. I can bring it all the way down there, but I think in reality that's going to be about the right position, because it would allow people to come down the stairs and then they're going to have to negotiate a little step there, and then don't worry about this little flap here, that's going to come off. That was just a continuation of the wall as before. So there's going to be a wall down this side, but underneath here there will be some entrance doors into the station, and this will be an internal wall over here. That'll be an internal wall, so people will come down the stairs and then they'll be able to come around here, out the door or an opening, and then they'll be able to make their way off home as they would do. It gives us a little bit of leeway at this side too, because we're allowed to move this however far we need to do to allow for this canopy to come on this side too. So this canopy will come along here. I can either fill this in here and have some steps at the end, or I can make this a concrete path or a flagged path here, and then we can have a couple of steps there to get up onto the platform. So I think there, on the original station too, there was like a picket fence here as well, so I'm going to incorporate that into it as well. So it's looking good now. You can see how it's been extended, and the danger is how far does it come out. I mean, I started off with a board that was 6 foot by 2 foot, and then I extended it to put an extra track in here. This is another 3 inches, and now I've extended it about another 7 inches or so. So like people say, once you start a model railway, it's never finished. So the next stage will be to decide what's going to happen on the stair side, and then we're ready for covering the walls and stuff. So that'll be the next stage that we're going to perform. This is just a quick flashback to the photographs that I'm working from. So you can see that the canopy there does stick out, and it's going to come out to the platform edge, and it is the same height as this, and on the downside as well. So that's what we're working to, and I've got the proportions height. I'm happy with the size of the station now, so we're going to be moving on pretty quick. I've now taken out this section that comes all along here, as you can see. I've cut that off, It also included this piece at the end here, and I've done that so that this, you can see inside there now, this inside here is going to actually sit over here. And if I just show you what happens at this end, you can see that it sort of rebates over the platform edge. So I'm going to leave enough distance here, which is going to allow for a pathway down here, and remember the canopy is going to come across under this under these eaves here. So we're going to move on to the next little section now. I'm just going to explain a little bit of something now. I have determined that this should be the position of the platform. So that platform's going to sit there, and this is going to sit over it like so. You get the idea there. This I'm going to cut off, as I said, that's just there temporary. And I have now built a section here that's going to, just move that for a minute, it's going to sit in here as a wall, and this wall is going to be an entrance door. I'll open it out here, so this wall we won't see. This part here is going to have an entrance door in it, so when you come down from the steps you can either go through the door or you can turn around the corner here and come out of the building. So this is where we're at the moment. It's the next stage, and I will glue this all together and you'll see a little bit clearer then when it's all fixed up together. Now we're going to move on to the internal walls in this part of this end of the station here. This is the left hand end, looking at it from the outside. So I've used all the little bits up that I had. See this little bit here, little L shape, and this piece here as well I used. These all came off this piece that I cut out of the side of this here, this 15mm piece. Believe it or not, that's all I've got left, so I do try and reuse as much stuff as I can do. I may even use that at a later date, who knows. Now then, when you're gluing these together, this card here, which is a shiny cardboard, it's good one side but the other side's shiny. So if you're having to glue to it, what I do is I score it all with a piece of abrasive paper, and as that piece is going to go like this, I've already scored this one, so what I'm going to do is to rough up this piece here as well. So I'll do it better later, but you get the idea. So if you can rough it up and put scratches on it, then it will glue much better. Otherwise it's not going to stick very well. So moving on, what will happen here now is that this will be the external wall, which will sit there, and then this will be the internal, it's like a vestibule really. So this wall here will have a window in it so that they can see out, and this will have doors in it so that people can go from the footbridge through the station and out at the front door if they wish to take that one. So this is actually going to go inside here like this, if you can imagine that, but it's going to be up the 15mm, so it's going to sit on top of the extended platform that I made, and then this obviously will be the external wall. So when it's all done, this is going to be this sort of a shape. It's going to be a Z shape. So I'm going to glue all that together now, and you'll notice that I've already put the first bit of stonework up on this internal wall here. This will be where the staircase comes down, and I may put some advertising hoarding or something on there because it would have something like that. So that's the stage where you're at now. So we've now got to consider what we're going to do with the doors and windows. So I've got a big door going in here, and I'm going to put at least 2 windows in here, and round this side we need probably a couple of windows in there, and on the track side, remember this is all under a canopy, so we've got the big vestibule in here, so I think the main door is going to have to go here, and there will probably be a waiting room as well, so we may have to put a smaller door on there. So that's where we're at now, and it's moving along quite nicely now, thank you very much. It's time for the computer to do a little bit of work now. As I have not got very good drawings to work from, I did a little search about LNER stations, and I found this one at Hadlow Road, which is in Merseyside, and I quite like this doorway here, and I thought that door along with those windows would suit my Leeds station because I don't have any details of it. And if you notice this little door in the corner here, there's a little door there. Well, I've also got another view of that, and I've taken that like that. So what I've done, I've now reduced those. I'll get rid of that, and I'll get rid of that one. So I reduced those doors into size, and what I did, I decided on the big door, the actual size of the doors would be 97 inches in height, which works out about 32 millimeters to scale. That's 1/76 scale. With the single door here, what I did was decide we're going to make that a 7-foot door, which is 84 inches, works out at 28 inches. So by trial and error, I resized them, and first of all I did a drawing. I'll just show you the drawing. I did a rough drawing here, and that rough drawing was to give me the proportion and the sizes. So what I then did was go back onto the computer, and with a little bit of work in Photoshop, I managed to scale them to the right sizes that I wanted. After I did that, I then printed them out thus. Doesn't matter how it works out. So those are my rough sizes, and there's the doors as they're going to be. So I can now use those to build upon for the doors. From this drawing, I then drew in the lintels here and the stone jambs, and I progressed and I printed out some more windows and doors. I decided I'm going to have 2 large doors and 2 small doors, and I think I'm going to have 7 of these windows as well. So what I did, on one of the windows I drew a line where the center was, and I used that for the radius of the inner and the outer parts of the stone lintel at the top. And from that I made these little cutouts like so. You see them? Right, so those are the lintels. They're just made out of cardboard, and what I was going to do was build them up on top of these like I have done with this one here. This one here I've done, and I decided that it was that easy. I could do it just without bothering. So just to very quickly show you what we have to do, I'm just going to use stick glue for this, and if I press that across there like that, you're watching it upside down. It doesn't matter which way you do it. So I'm going to put the lintel on there like so, press it down, take the 2 jambs, and if your finger's wet you can easily push that in there like so. You can level it all up afterwards, and that's 2, and then you take the sill at the bottom, and just by guessing it you can get a pretty good representation of your window frame in the stonework. You see that now? That wasn't too hard. That's done. I'm working off the principle that a good guess is always better than a bad calculation, so I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to let that set now, and when it's stuck, right, that's what I've just done. I've just stuck this one on here now. So I'm just going to show you what I've done with this. I cut this one out here. This was another window, so I cut it out, and it actually cut out the actual window frames there. You can see those, and I've painted them with a yellow colour. So I'm going for the custard and cream of the London Midland region. I know it's not London North Eastern, and when that sits in there afterwards, it's not glued in or anything now, but you can see that's not going to be a bad window. And we'll do the stonework in a contrasting colour, probably a sandstone colour or something like that, and that's what the window's going to look like when it's finished. I'm going to cut it all out after, and I've decided I'm going to stick the windows on. I'll explain that more when we get onto the model, but this is the next stage. So I'm going to finish all these windows off now. I'm going to finish off the doors as well, so it's the same principle, sticking the frames on, cutting out these arches here, and cutting the doors out as well. Again, I'll explain it all later. So we're getting closer and closer all the time. All the painting's now finished. You'll see I've got all the yellow bits done, and I've got all the red bits done, and I've actually found a transparency with some window frames on, which I've used, and I'm going to use that for one of the windows that I'm going to cut out. So that one I'll be explaining a little bit more in detail. I've just finished painting that now. You can see a little bit streaky at the side, so I'm just going to have to go over it again, but that's done on a transparency so you can see through it. The Z-shaped vestibule part that I mentioned has now gone in, and I'll just take it away from there so you can see a little bit clearer. That's it in position, but you can see I've left a hole out there for the window, and inside we've got two walls. The wall that's facing you, that will have the door into the station, and the wall on the right there is going to have another window in it. So that's where we're at, and what I'm going to do now is to complete the remainder of the walls on the station building. What I've done to make the stone is I've taken some real stonework and I've pieced it all together and then scaled it down to be a 00 gauge, and this is what I'm going to use for covering the rest of this building now. So it's simply a case of measuring. So that's 103 and 30, that's easy. It's 133 long. I'm going to allow a little bit extra, and the height of it is 73. So you've got to allow for it being on a course. So I'm just going to cut off that bottom little bit, like so. So the bottom layer of stone will actually be a full stone and not half a stone. Now I said 73, didn't I? Yeah, 73. So 73 from there. I'm going, don't need to allow any extra in the height, and 73 from this end too gives me a course. So I'm going to cut down that course and keep it as straight as I can. Use a long pair of scissors and do as few cuts as possible to keep it as straight as possible. And we should end up with this. Now it was 103 and 30 if I remember correctly. I've just measured twice, cut once. 103 and 30. So I'm going to cut off this end and then 103 and 30 is 133, which I'm going to allow a little bit to come over the front. So 103 and 133, I'm going to make it 140, which will give me a little bit to play with. So I'll take this and line it up. Couldn't see the line there. I meant draw a bigger line. What'll do more will do less. And then that can be cut off there. Get rid of the surplus. And then that is going to bend in that corner there. Whoa, why is it short? 140. Oh, 113, it's 10 millimeters short. That's why I say the old saying goes, measure twice, cut once. I didn't do, but luckily I can get away with that. So I'll just give that a good fold on the 30 millimeter mark. 30 mil there. And 30 mil there. And then I can fold that up. I'll put it onto the lines there. And bend it up there. Now I prefer to use PVA glue for this. This is PVA, and the reason why I prefer to use PVA is because it allows you a little bit of slide. So I'm going to paint over that and over there, all over this bit that's going to be stuck now. And I'm just going to get away with this actually. Because I allowed 140, which was just about the exact size I needed. Let that be a lesson to you all. Measure twice, cut once. And the reason why I prefer this PVA glue to the stick is because the stick doesn't allow you to twist it at all. So with this, I'm allowed to twist, I'm allowed to move it as well. So that goes into there, and make sure you get it in the right place first. You've got to be reasonably quick. So I'll get that side on first, and what you've got to make sure is that you line your courses up at the corners here. Very important. If you don't want a raw stone that doesn't line up. So that's just a tiny little bit short there now at the corner, but I can wrap the other one around it. Luckily I had a little bit of leeway on that one. So yeah, that's pretty well lined up now. So I'm going to finish that off there now, and what I will do, I will now do this side, and this side. So rather than have you watch me do it individually, what I'll do it as quick as I can, and then we'll move on to the next exercise after that. So I'll try and do that pretty quick. There now, that didn't take too long, did it? So now I've got it all covered all the way around, and we're going to be moving on to the windows and the doors next. So that's the next stage. So once again, it's a slow process, but we're getting there.